All right. Just waiting on my boy Perez to come in. We are live. Another retro review here. Waiting on my man Anthony Perez to come in. You know, he got black people tendencies. Actually, I think he said he was editing a video from a movie he just seen tonight. So it's gonna be a couple of minutes. Oh, I already got three. Damn, I already got more people in. I already got more people in than my whole live stream from last time. Yeah. So yeah, y'all just hold on. Perez will be here in 1 second. Hold on. Matter of fact, let me see what this dude at, man, real quick. Hold on. Let me see what he's at. All right, so yo, to those that's in the house, man, yo, check in, man. Let me know what's up. Who's here? I see Cool to the Fool was the first one to comment. I'm here to listen to this retro movie review. Y'all appreciate you, fam, as always. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I check in, man. I see there's a couple people here. What's up? Let me know what's the deal. Waiting on my man Anthony A. Perez to come in so we can chop it up and review Scarface. Say hello to my little friend. Okay? You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say that's the bad guy. Me, I always tell the truth, even when I lie. Okay. So say goodnight to the bad guy. This last time you're gonna see it back like this again, I'm gonna tell you. Oh Lord. Yo, y'all come on in, man. Who's in the house? Let me know what's up. Let me know that you're here. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, once we start talking Scarface, I'm probably gonna miss a lot of comments because you know how I get when I start talking movies, man. It's like the Energizer Bunny. I keep going and going and going and going and going. All right. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in and check in. What's up? Mm-hmm. Dang, boy. Y'all come on in, man. Come on in. All right, got three people in. All right, yo, so check in, y'all. Who's in the house? Y'all see Scarface? I'm hoping you seen Scarface because we're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie. Yeah, we're gonna spoil the shit out of it, man. This shit, it was made in 1983. So if you ever seen Scarface, shame on you. Mm. Yes, this is tea in my cup, not liquor. That comes later. Mm. Oh man. You know, one fear I have, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. If I have a fear of doing these live streams and stuff, is a bug crawling in the background on the wall. Because once you get that shit on wax, you can't take it off. That's actual fear. Like one day I'm gonna be doing a live and hey man, you got a bug on your wall. Shit. Damn. Come on, Perez, what you doing, bruh? Gotta knock out. Listen, I'll be trying to knock out those reviews in one take. Hold up. So, my cousin Big KO to my he's on Facebook Live now. Told me to hop in. I'm like, nigga, I'm on YouTube Live. Shit, come on over here. We talking Scarface, buddy. Ugh. We talking Scarface. Perez, what's up, man? Don't be like cousin China, leave me with my dick in my hand. That's not a question. I've seen that retro movie many times. Al Pacino should have won an Oscar in that movie. Facts. But you know what? Cool is that at the time, you got to think, man, that was like the most hardcore movie ever made. You know what I'm saying? Prior to that, the most hardcore movie was like probably like Taxi Driver or The Godfather. But here you have a gangster flick where you got people getting chainsawed and Tony Montana dropping F-bombs every couple of minutes. You know what I'm saying? Yo, for the time, Scarface was hardcore. You know what I mean? And I don't think the Academy was ready for a movie like that. But yeah, looking back now, shit. Yeah, Pacino should have won. You know what I mean? I couldn't watch Scarface until I got older. As a kid, let me say I came out in 83. So I didn't actually watch it till like I was 11 years old. Because it was like the forbidden fruit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was like the forbidden fruit. Man, I couldn't watch, but then when I did watch for the first time, whoa. I thought Al Pacino was Spanish. I thought he was Cuban for real. Because I ain't never seen The Godfather or none of Pacino's movies. You know what I mean? So I thought he was actually, I'm thinking this motherfucker actually Cuban. Even though I think if you get a real Cuban, they'd be like, yo, that accent was so laughable. But at the time, I believed it. And not to mention, it was a catalyst for a lot of other gangster movies and comic books and video games. Like, yo, Scarface kind of created a whole fucking culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took the gangster culture, it made it more street, made it more hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, even with rappers, you know, like Trick Daddy, Rick Ross, like all of them reference Tony Montana as their, I don't want to say their idol, but one of their inspirations. Just don't do what he did. Yeah, because Tony, even though it's about the American dream, but yeah, that shit cost him his life though. In a hail of bullets, coked up. God bless America. You know what I'm saying? All right, so cool. Since you are the only one commenting here, so let me ask you, is Scarface your favorite Al Pacino movie? If you're still there. Okay, I think Perez about to jump in. I think he about to jump in. I hope he about to jump in. There you go. I see you. All right, well, I think I see you. Let me see where you at. Here we go.
Yo, what's up, bro?
Brother man.
What's good, bro? Sorry for the late entrance. You hear me all right?
Yeah, no, you good. I know you said you was editing, and I know that takes some time. I was just warming the crowd up with my weak ass comedy routine. Yeah, all I heard back was crickets.
You got Cool to the Foolers in here.
Yeah, we was chopping it up for a minute.
Gotcha. Yeah, sorry I was late. Yeah, I just got back from seeing Infinite Storm. It's a new movie with Naomi Watts, and let's just say that it was one of the most boring films I've seen in theaters this year. So that review is currently uploading for anybody watching, and will be up eventually. But thanks for having me on, man. Just happy to talk, be on another live stream. It's been a hot minute. I got my tequila drink right here. Let's get into this, man. Let's get into some Scarface.
Damn, I wish I knew you was drinking, man. I got my punk ass little turmeric tea here. You should have told me you was drinking. I would have grabbed a bottle.
It was a last minute decision. I was like, oh, there's tequila. I'm going to sit down and drink some tequila.
And it's so fitting, too, because this is a drug-fueled movie, so it's only right to review this intoxicated. I wasn't thinking.
That's what I was thinking. That's where my head was at, so I figured, why not?
No doubt, man. So, Cool says that's our question. It's hard to pick over The Godfather 1 and 2. Yeah, because I asked what was his favorite Pacino movie between Godfather 1 and 2, but I will see that Scarface is my favorite. All right, so Perez, thank you, man, for coming in, because, I know we all have our own busy lives and shit and stuff going on, and you know what I'm saying? So thank you for taking the time out to bless my little channel, man, to grace us with your presence.
Of course, man. I want to get back into doing more live streams. The big reason I don't do too many right now is because my laptop, it's just so slow. Like, it's just been dying on me. So
Oh
my
man.
fiance is out of town right now, so she let me use hers. But
Okay.
yeah, definitely. Once I got to get a new laptop or new computer of some sort, and then I'll definitely be doing more streams. But yeah,
No
man, happy
doubt.
to be on, and I was glad because traditionally we do like the normal traditional review style for anything that we do for each other's channel. So
Mhm.
when you said, hey, I want to do this live streams, and I seen you've been doing them, we did them with like Jacob Martin and like with Mike and stuff, or like the Rambo movies and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I would be totally love to be able to do the same kind of thing with Scarface, because this is one of those movies that I feel like it's kind of a shoot the shit kind of movie. You know what I mean? Just a
Mhm.
movie to talk about, and maybe not like, I mean, like you can analytically break it down, but I feel like to really talk about it, you gotta like, it's a long movie too. There's a lot to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes. And even like our reviews that we've done in the past, like I'll watch your review, like for example, Crush Groove. When you was reviewing Crush Groove, I'm looking at the screen like, no, you did no, man, you're missing the point. No, so I wanted to have that dialogue with you right then and there, but I couldn't because you already recorded your shit.
Right,
So
right. That
so
was me
real quick,
with Disney's Holes when I sent that to you and you hated it.
yeah.
I
I
still
might
think
like
of that
I
all the
might
time.
like I might like it again if I watch it again, man. There's been times where I watch movies where I hated it the first time, second time around, I was like, all right, that wasn't too bad. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah.
saying?
That one still stings a little bit. That was my my moment where I'm just like, this motherfucker. I was like, how did you not like this movie? And what's funny too is I don't know if it was like a bad day or you just really didn't like the movie, because you literally say in the video, you go, Perez, just please don't send me anything like this ever again. I'm like, damn, it wasn't that bad.
You know what? Yeah, I guess you have to catch me in the right mood. You know, I'm pretty sure if I watched it with my son, I probably would have lightened up because I've watched some movies with my son and he's like enjoying them, and because he's enjoying them, I'm feeding off his energy, so now I'm enjoying it. You know,
Right.
so
Like
I'm
Paw
pretty sure.
Patrol.
Yes, yeah, exactly. If I saw Paw Patrol by myself, I'd have been like, "What the fuck did I just?" But when I watched it with him, he's like, "Wow, you know, Chase and Boozer, whatever the fuck his name was," and I'm like, "Yeah, this shit is pretty cool, man." You know.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. I feel you. It
Yeah.
definitely depends on the situation. That was kind of my situation tonight, seeing Infinite Storm.
Oh
It was one of
wow.
those movies that's really quiet, kind of like A Quiet Place.
Mhm.
Um, and it doesn't have a lot of music or sound effects and shit. And bro, we had like multiple people and stuff going in the theater making noise and like
Oh my god.
talking, and it just made the whole experience like hell on earth. So it happens, bro. But anyway, let's get into Scarface.
Let's get a scarf. Okay, so wait a minute. I gotta run the intro here real quick. Hold on 1 second.
This is a homage beat.
He loved the American dream. With a vengeance. Al Pacino, Scarface.
That was dope, dude.
Thank you.
I didn't expect that. I had no idea that you were gonna do that. That was pretty cool, man. Watching that was pretty sick. I like that.
StreamYard can do that. I was like, oh shit, let me start doing more of these like that.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I was sitting here like, all right, cool. The Rashad intro with a new little kick, and then I was like, oh, there's my intros. Oh, there's a whole
Yeah.
trailer. I like this.
Oh yeah. I tell you, man, you need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say that's the bad guy.
That was pretty good.
Oh, thank you. All right, so Scarface, 1983, directed by the legendary Brian De Palma, starring Al Pacino, Michelle Pfeiffer, Robert. I know I say his name wrong. Robert Leger, I think that's how you say his name. What's his name? F. Murray Abraham, and a couple other people that I can't remember. Oh, and written by Oliver Stone,
Right.
who was on his own cocaine binge when he was writing this movie. This was like his rehab for getting off cocaine, was writing Scarface.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oliver, he was high as a kite. You got to think, Perez, this is the 80s. Everybody was getting high in the 80s. Everybody. If it wasn't weed, it was coke. You know what I'm saying? And so my intro to this movie, this was a forbidden fruit when I was a kid. So I couldn't watch this when I was little. My father had the tape. He kept it hidden. I was not allowed to touch it. If he was watching it, I had to leave the room. This is like so hardcore. I couldn't watch this till I was like 11 years old. That was my first Al Pacino movie. I thought Pacino was Cuban for real. You know what I mean? So that was my intro when I watched it. Even though it was a 3-hour movie, I'm 11 years old, but I fell in love with it. I can't tell you how many times I watched it in its entirety, not just bits and pieces, but the whole fucking movie. So that's my introduction to Scarface. So tell me about your first time watching it. How'd you hear about it?
So Scarface for me, I was actually born and raised in Miami. So I'm from Miami. That realm is always, here's the thing, right? Miami is such a specific area, and you know this. You live in Florida, so we both live in Florida. Florida in general is such a specific state, very specific location, and the more south you go, the more interesting the individuals get, the more crazy it gets. So for me, Miami has such a specific identity, and whenever there's like movies that take place there, or that were filmed there, or that like have a big presence there, you see it in a lot of places. So growing up as a kid, you always saw Scarface like posters, places, or like things like up in like restaurants or like little sides, like like corner stores and stuff like that. They would always have something Scarface. I've talked about it on my channel a long time ago that what really got me into movies as a kid and discussion about movies was my dad and my uncle we would just sit around and we would just talk about movies. And my dad was always really getting me into while my mom was getting me into like the Disney movies and like, British films and like, films about King Arthur and stuff. My dad was getting me into Rocky and Rambo and all that kind of stuff. And it's not my dad is like always been a very religious man. So he wasn't necessarily like, here, let's check out Scarface. But he was always very much a fan of like the Godfather and that era of filmmaking and, Al Pacino and Marlon Brando and all them. So I always kind of got that by like almost like just osmosis, like just things in like the cultural zeitgeist, like stuff you just know because it's part of like pop culture. And my uncle always had a almost like a framed plaque of Scarface in his room that had like a record, I think it had in there, and a cigar. And I don't know if it was from the film itself or whatever, but he had that in his room. So Scarface for me visually was always something I had seen and known about everywhere. So once I got into like my early teen years, I finally saw the film, and I always thought it was a cool movie, And what I always thought was funny, what I thought was cool was to be able to see these locations that I've just been rolling around as a kid, with my family all my life, but obviously a little bit older, and it's showing a different side of Miami, a different type of Miami, but something still that growing up in like the late 90s, early 2000s, there was still that flavor of certain elements. So that was kind of my introduction to the movie. And then it was always funny because I'm half Cuban, half Puerto Rican. I'm from Miami though, born and raised. So like I've never even been to Cuba. I've never been to Puerto Rico, and I'm honestly not super attached to my Hispanic heritage. But it was always funny because I know so many people with the thick Cuban accent. Like literally, my grandmother has a thick Cuban accent. She speaks in English and it's got the thick Cuban accent. And so always for me watching this movie, the accents are horrible. They're terrible.
I was just about to ask you that. How authentic is the accents in this movie?
They're pretty bad. It sounds like people putting on Cuban accents. But what's funny is that it still works though, and I think that Al Pacino for me, despite the fact that what's funny to me is that he's this guy with this really thick accent, right? And then they have tons of other Cubans around him speaking Spanish at times. And he like literally says he has one scene where he speaks in Spanish and it's horrible. Like it's terrible Spanish. But he still sells you on the fact that he is like, if you watch Al Pacino in Godfather and you watch Al Pacino in this, like he really does sell you that they're two different people,
Yes.
And so I think that's a big praise on his part, is that whether the accent is authentic or not, it's believable. It's strangely believable throughout. Like you forget about it, even though
you buy it. You buy it. Yeah.
Right. There's a couple moments of dialogue here and there where I'm like, the delivery there, like you could hear the Pacino coming out more than the actual like Cuban accent. But yeah, man, overall, going back and revisiting it now this time around, I still really enjoyed it, man. I found it to be a good time. It's a movie that's not necessarily for me the best written movie. I don't really think it's like a super layered, incredibly written film, like with top to bottom, great characters, but it's consistently entertaining, consistently intriguing. And for a movie that's 3 hours long, it's really never boring. Even with characters like Michelle Pfeiffer, for me, that honestly are irrelevant in the film.
Elvira.
I just found her. Yeah, and we'll talk about her if you want, but she's so irrelevant in this movie. Like she really serves like no real purpose in this movie. But overall, the film still maintains an intriguing interest throughout. That like even all these years later, having seen this film, I got to show it to my fiance for the first time. She had never seen it before, and so she was all into it too. And so it's just a movie that I think, even though it's not the greatest written film, it's still really, really entertaining.
Yeah. Well, and I want to kind of springboard off of that. Yeah, probably not the most deepest written movie, but it's real straightforward to the point. It's straight up. Here's this Cuban immigrant who has the American dream, and it's just his journey getting to that dream. Which for a lot of people, it ends with this dream ends with you retiring, having a house, on a golf course, with a lot of money and beautiful wife and family. But for him, he went about the dream the wrong way. So instead of going this way, he goes that way. You know what I'm saying? And the Michelle Pfeiffer character, Elvira, however you want to say her name, she was a very bland character. I want to argue she was a bland character, but her purpose was that's what Tony thought he wanted. He wanted the pretty blonde white girl, or as he called, a white piece of bread. Remember what she called him, a spick?
Yeah.
So who you call a spick, you white piece of bread? I work hard for this. Yeah, so it's just taking the wrong turn of the American dream. So yeah, just right to the point. Not very, Tony's like the main character, and everybody else. This is Tony's world, and everybody's just living in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no other character to be like, damn, that was a deep ass character. Like, yo, I was really rooting for that character. Nah, everybody fits in Tony's world in a different way. Whether it be Manny, Elvira, his moms who detest him, Frank, you know what I'm saying, the boss that he wants to overthrow. So, I could agree with that, but still, the writing works for a movie like this, because if you make it too layered, it'll be like a 4-hour like fucking what's his name, like a 4-hour Zack Snyder fucking drug Scarface universe. You know what I'm saying? With all kind of backstories and subplots and all. No, just get right to the fucking point. That's what I love about the 80s movies, man. The 80s movies were just so simple. Just get to the fucking point. I don't care. Sometimes, backstory works sometimes, but when you have a backstory for a backstory that leads to another backstory, I don't give a shit.
Right. That was such a big thing about the 80s. And yeah, it's one of I've covered so many films from the 80s since I started this channel, specifically because that was a lot of stuff I grew up watching, because it was like, it felt like it was like right behind me. You know what I mean? Like, I missed a few of these obviously because I was really young, but it's like right behind me. And there was just so much about the 80s. Like, I covered it like a year ago, but I rewatched one of these days, An American Werewolf in London, and like that movie, man, like the second it ends, like like he gets killed and his dead body's on the ground, it's like credits. It's like there's no abrupt, it's so abrupt. It's just like, all right, that's it, he's dead. Like, credits. And it was just they did the same thing with Scarface. It's like, he's dead and movie's over. It's like they were so abrupt on their endings at times, but they were also like just straight to the point. Let's get to it. So yeah, there's definitely something I really enjoy about that. And yeah, I think that's kind of the impressive thing, is like sometimes today you watch a movie and you kind of feel like you need characters and story for the film to feel memorable. And this movie, in a lot of ways, has a lot of just characters that are only there to serve a very small purpose, like Michelle Pfeiffer's character. Like, she's in the role in the movie quite a bit, but she doesn't really have much to do. Like he tells her, like, all she does is sit around and get high all day, really. What role does she really play other than kind of being something for Tony Montana, which I think that overall, like, he is the core of the film. Like, he keeps it consistently engaging, consistently interesting. And Al Pacino's performance is amazing. I wish that Al Pacino, like, even though he still has great performances that will come in his career after Scarface, I wish that he still gave performances like he did in Godfather and in Scarface. There was something so like tangible and real and gritty. And I hate maybe not using the word gritty, but like very it just felt very authentic. Like, he was really
real. He was real. Yeah, he was a real person. Right. If you put the character of Tony Montana in any other movie, he would be like the stereotypical bad guy. He's like the bad guy in any other, like, put him in any Charles Bronson or Clint Eastwood movie, he's like the laughable villain. But here in this movie, he has like bad, he's a bad person, but he has good qualities about him. He has a code, he has morals, So even though he'll blow your brains out and take your money, but at the same time, he won't blow up a car with the mother and the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he does have a code about him where it's like, now, okay, even though I mean I'm a piece of shit, but I'm not a piece of shit that's gonna do something like that.
Right. That scene when they're in the car with the guy who's gonna assassinate the guy and his family, and that whole scene had me laughing. Just the way he interacts with the guy. You know what I mean? Like when she blows his brains out, but before that, he's just like, even after he kills him, he's just like, you see what I made, what you made me do? Like, you see what you made me do? It's like, dude, like he's such an interesting character because he's a terrible character. He's such a horrible person. He's a terrible character from beginning to end. But I've heard people make the complaint or the criticism that films like this aren't good to them because they can't relate to the character. Yeah, even though I can't relate to Tony Montana, like he is just such an interesting character to consistently watch, and he makes every scene interesting because especially it doesn't even take you long, like 30 minutes into the movie, you already are waiting for somebody to try him because you already know that he's going to shut that shit down immediately. Oh yeah, and that's kind of almost that's part of the entertainment factor alone too. It's like watching him interact with people. You know what I mean? Like people having to kind of step on eggshells, and when people go full force at him, not really knowing what kind of character he really is, you almost get excited to see how he's going to respond to them, even though he's going to be a fucking horrible person.
Yeah, but Perez, at the end of the day, also, he's very relatable because at the end of the day, Tony wants what we all want, and that is a life of luxury. We all want a nice house and nice cars and a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Like the American dream is something that we all dream about. Like we want that. People come to this country from third world countries. It's like, damn, I want that. So Tony wants what we want, but he just went about it because I've never sold drugs in my life. I will never sell drugs. I will never kill anybody unless they try to come at me. You know what I'm saying? So that's where us and Tony, that's where we separate. But at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. That's why we can't relate to Tony, because it's not like he glorifies selling drugs. He does it because this is what I want. So it's not like I love being a drug dealer. I love killing people. Like, he doesn't have that maniacal laugh like that. Ha ha ha. I'm just evil. No, it's like I want to get the money, then I get the power. When you get the power, then you'll get the woman. So he knew to get Michelle Pfeiffer, I have to have this, and this. I can get the woman. You know what I'm saying? If I do this, and this, I can retire my mom. I can get my sister. We're going to get to her later in a minute. I can get my sister her own salon. You know what I'm saying? Like the man wanted to do shit. And he bought a tiger. Come on, man.
Yeah, the tiger thing. Funny enough, I thought the tiger thing was a bigger part of the movie than like in my recollection. Then when I was watching the movie, I was like, I think they showed the tiger with literally one scene, like one clip.
Scene, yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, why did they even put that in the movie? Like, I for some reason I remember that being a bigger part of the movie because I feel like that's kind of like what inspired like Mike Tyson to get one, and then that would go on into like Hangover and stuff like that. But yeah, like rewatch the movie. That's like just like a simple side note. But yeah, you talked about the sister there. Yeah, so she's an interesting character too because again, here's another character that honestly I don't really feel serves much purpose in the story throughout majority of the runtime, but when she becomes a part of it far more in the latter half of the film, like when she's like in the first part of the movie when we first see her, it's like that whole dynamic is just weird. You know what I mean? The whole dynamic of just like the implication of him like wanting to fuck her is just
okay. Well, I want to ask you because I've asked everybody this question, not to cut you off, but I have to ask everybody because I've seen this movie so many times that I'm still not crystal clear. In your mind, Perez, I'm just asking you, do you think Tony wanted to bone his own sister?
Yeah, I think he did. I think there was a weird part of him that wanted to fuck his sister, and that was a strange part of the movie for me because it's at first it seems just like a real loving brother, right? But when he first sees her, he's constantly just like, look at you, like just like looking at her and like just like talking about how like beautiful she is, and then I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, all right, whatever, great. Brothers say that, great. But then later on, it just gets weird. And then there's the fact that it's even implied later on, and she starts to like pretty much just be like, she starts losing her mind after he killed Manny. It's like, like she's just like throwing herself at him. It's just weird because even if you thought that was what was kind of being implied earlier, you're like, all right, I can brush that under the rug and just be like, all right, maybe it was just like a weird brother-sister interaction. But then she starts unrobing in front of him and is just like, you're jealous, here, take my body. And sure, he's not like necessarily like jumping at the opportunity to it in that moment. You know what I mean? He just killed his best friend. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
He also wasn't necessarily like fighting it. You know what I mean? He wasn't like turned off at the idea. So they're just the fact that that's even part of the movie for me is just strange. It was like another movie that I just watched recently with the Big Rob Theory, and we covered it on my channel, called The Bunker Game, where there's this main character and she's with her cousin, and her cousin is trying to be overly protective of her the whole movie. And later on, the character's like, you know, you can't be her knight in shining armor. It's not like she's gonna fuck you. And me and Rob just instantly are like, well, why is that even part of the discussion? If I'm out at some event with my cousin and I'm trying to protect her, and somebody's like, well, what are you trying to do, fucker? I'm like, what are you talking about? This is my cousin. Why was it even thought of?
Right.
You know what I mean? So like the fact that it even becomes part of the discussion in Scarface for me kind of implies that like his overprotectiveness of her kind of like there was something weird there. There was something a little bit strange there. Just even the fact that, because it feels implied throughout, and then she throws herself at him, and it's just like,
right.
But I don't know. That's a weird part, because she's not really a relevant part of the story for me until like the latter half of the movie, where everything that happens with Manny, and I just feel like ultimately, bro, they handled that in the worst way they possibly could. Manny was so afraid to talk to Tony about the fact that he was even interested in his sister, yet he decides to do this whole thing where they like kind of like run off together and they're going to try to surprise it on him. It's like, whenever does it feel like that would have been the right move to make with Tony?
You know what, I thought the same thing, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying, like when you have a homeboy for as long, okay, you and Rob, right, y'all been friends for years, so y'all know each other. You know what makes each other tick, you know what pisses each other off, and you know what buttons not to push. So yeah, Tony was wrong for killing Manny, but Manny kind of had that coming. He should have known better.
Right,
okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, from the first time. Okay, remember the first time that Manny saw her and he told Tony, he's like, hey man, she's beautiful. Why you never, hey,
yeah,
you stay away from her, Manny. You hear? She not for you. That would have been enough right there. I would have been like, bro, you got it.
Right.
At the same time, I mean, I knew people like that. You know what I'm saying? I grew up with some cats where they were cool with you, but don't look at my sister. Don't talk to my sister, you know. If you even looked her way, when you look at my sister, so that's where I kind of get. But like you said, it does get kind of weird where every time he sees her with the man, he like freaks the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? To the point where he even slapped the shit out of her in the stall. Like he came down with it, and I'm like, bro, is it that serious?
Right.
She's a grown ass woman. You know, leave her alone.
Exactly. Like it's not like she's some teen sister kind of thing, some kid sister kind of situation. So it just does, you know, you're like, okay, cool, overprotective kind of thing. You can kind of vibe with that, understand that, go with that for a while. But there is a moment where you're just like, man, there's something weird about his like overprotectiveness of her. And then she literally later on, like, dude, you didn't have to write into the script that she's going to start, you know, offering herself sexually to her brother, whether it was sarcastic or not, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
it's just like it's just strange that it was even implied and even brought up. So yeah, to answer your question, I do think
you wanted to bone her.
Yeah, I do think there was like there was a fucked up thing that he was like, you know, maybe it wasn't necessarily on the top of his bucket list, but you know, if they were on an island together, he would do it. That kind of situation.
Damn, so he had an attraction. Well, you know what? Godfather 3 is even worse, because if you remember Godfather 3, Andy Garcia, Vincent wanted to fuck his own cousin.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm finding that's present in a lot more movies than I feel like it should be. But I guess, I guess these things are kind of like you said. There are people like Tony who, you know, were overprotective of their sisters, and at the same way, there's people like Manny in the real world that will go behind the backs of their friends and go be fucking their sisters.
Still do it. Yeah, Manny. Yeah, well, Manny almost cleared his name, because Manny was telling her, like, look, man, you know, you're the only thing in Tony's life that's any good, that's pure. Like, that's why he has this overprotective thing about you, because he doesn't want you to be like him. So when you hear him say that, like, okay, maybe that's where Tony's coming from. But yeah, later on, I'm like, yeah, bro, I think you might have had a thing for your sister, bro.
Yeah, exactly. It comes across a little strange. Yeah, her whole role in the film, again, it's almost useless until it comes into play in the latter half of the film, which is kind of how I feel about a lot of characters. It feels like every character in the movie is there to slowly get Tony to a different location. You know what I mean? Even character of Frank, like he doesn't really serve much of a purpose in the film other than being the person for Tony to overcome. And so that's kind of how I feel about the only other character I feel in this movie that really has a role in the film is Manny outside of Tony. Now there's other characters. I can't remember the name of the individual, but the guy overseas, you know what I mean? That like
Sosa, Alejandro Sosa. Yeah.
So he's probably like the next, like one of the next best characters that is recurring in the film and actually has substance, because once he comes in, it's kind of just like, well, fuck Frank, you know what I mean? Like, let's get rid of Frank pretty quick, and Frank gets taken care of pretty fast. So it's that's kind of my thing with the movie at times, that it feels like a lot of the characters are inconsequential, but that's kind of the beautiful part about the movie too, is that it's consistently entertaining. Like, even for the flaws this movie has, you're never bored. Like, I was never bored across this 3 hours of runtime. And I think all that weight really is on Al Pacino's shoulders. And I think the best scene in this movie, as far as the performance from him, I mean, he gives a lot of really great moments of performance in this film. But specifically the scene that you quoted earlier, you know what I mean? You need somebody like, you guys need somebody like me to point the finger at, like that whole restaurant scene where he's super drunk. Fantastic performance. Like, he sells it 100%, you look right past the fucking accent.
Oh yeah. Because he knew that people were going to see him a certain way anyway. That's why Tony didn't give a fuck. It's like, look, I came from a place where Castro, he was a dictator. He treated us like shit. So I already know when I come here, y'all gonna think I ain't shit. So fuck it, I'm just gonna take what I want. You know what I mean? Right. And fuck all y'all. Like Perez. I love when he was just sitting there and at the restaurant. He like, what are you looking at? You all a bunch of fucking assholes. You know that?
Yeah.
Because you ain't got the guts to be what you want to be.
Right.
Like, hey, I like this dude.
Right. Yeah. And he gives such a good performance in that moment. And it's it's kind of like you said, like we were saying earlier, like it's so real. So there's just something about the way he performs, even with the accent, like that you really do believe that Tony Montana does exist in that moment while you're watching it. And yeah, like you said, it's kind of like it's the subtlety to his performance there too, like how he's looking around and like the way he just kind of casually looks at people like next to him and like
sizes them up. Like if you notice, every person that Tony comes across in this movie, he's sizing them up. Especially Frank, because Frank has what he wants. So even though Frank is looking at him like, yeah, this is gonna be my hitman, this is gonna be my one of my my minions or whatever. But Tony's looking at him like, motherfucker, little do you know, I'm about to take your spot and your woman. Right. Exactly. Like he told Manny in the car, because Manny was like, yo, Tony, man, that's the boss lady. Fuck you, man, the boss lady. He's soft. I said, well, I think that's the first time I heard somebody call somebody soft. You know what I'm saying? There's some terms in here. That's the first time I think I ever heard somebody call somebody soft, man.
Yeah, I was trying to think too. Like, okay, that makes sense too. I don't think because soft feels like something that it's being used a lot more. I don't want to say recently, but like it's been used for a while. But like, I can't think of a lot of movies in the 80s that said soft. But yeah, man, that he's just so good in this movie. This movie overall is just so consistently entertaining. The music's great. The cinematography is
music,
good.
The score, yes. What was his name? I think it's Giorgio. He was big in the 80s. He scored a lot of shit in the 80s. Did a lot of movies, but Scarface was definitely his most memorable. Like that, just that evil synth. Like it almost belongs in a horror movie. Some of the musical cues, especially that chainsaw scene.
Right. That was a great scene. That was probably like the first scene rewatching the movie this time that I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot how good this movie starts to get like pretty fast. Like, you know what I mean? Consistently entertaining.
And then they cut that scene down a lot too, because I think in the original cut, you actually see the chainsaw like going to the guy's head. But they were going to give it an X rating, so they had to cut this. So as hardcore as that movie was, they had to cut that shit a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense. It was just that time, man. They were cutting movies sometimes for the biggest bullshit. I see that there real quick. I see that Terrence Ball said that when Tony said to Ernie after he killed, after he and Manuel spoke to people, you want a job, Ernie?
Ernie.
That moment is fantastic. Oh, that was such a good moment.
Oh, yo, that whole scene with Frank, man, like, you know, when the music slowly kicks in and Frank's
Right.
like begging for his life. He's like, please, Tony, I did nothing to nobody. Oh, no, you never did nothing to nobody. You had somebody do it for you. He said, please, Tony, don't kill me. I ain't gonna kill you. Manuro, shoot this piece of shit. That's some great stuff, man. So, okay, so I know you're not a big fan of the characters, but okay, if you did have to pick a character, well, you did say Sosa, right? So besides Tony, Sosa was probably the only other character that you'd be like, okay,
I would
this
say
guy
like
was all right.
Sosa and Manny. Like I like Manny. I like the friendship he has with Tony throughout. I think my issue with a lot of the characters, not that I don't necessarily like them, I don't necessarily outright dislike them. It's just rewatching it this time around, I realized that a lot of them aren't given a whole lot to do until very specific moments in the movie. Like the sister, you know, she's introduced earlier when he first comes back after a long time. She's excited to see him. The mom's a little bit wary. And
oh yeah, God bless them. I feel bad for the mama, man. Yeah.
Oh, of course, you feel real bad for her. Yeah. And you know, he's you know, she shows up a couple more times in the movie near the end, but it's kind of like it's closer to the end to establish the setup of the romance between her and Manny. And then after that, she becomes a huge part of the like final 15, 20 minutes. But, you know, what real role does she play in the movie up to that point? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of my struggle with the movie is that since it's 3 hours long, I'm like, shit, like, I kind of wish some of these characters had a little bit more to do. This is the Tony Montana show, though. You know what I mean? And that's great because he is the main character. He sells it. He keeps it engaging. And in most cases, if I ever watched a movie that was 3 hours long today, where the only character I liked was the main character, you know what I mean? The movie would have to be damn good and interesting and engaging and all that kind of shit for me to consistently to really like the movie and call it iconic as this movie is, you know? So I think for the negatives that this movie has, its positives are so strong that it outweighs the negatives, and it makes a movie like this. It makes a movie like this almost it's very unique. It's a very unique film where I can have criticisms that I feel make this film feel hollow, but there's so much about it that fills up that 3 hours that keeps it engaging. And yeah, like I said, Michelle Pfeiffer's character, what real role does she play? You know what I mean? She's just something that kind of is a turning point for Tony, but she's not really a character in and of herself. So yeah, I'd say that Tony, Manny, and Sosa are, I think, the best characters in the movies, the characters that are given the most to do, that are the most interesting to watch. I'm actually rewatching Breaking Bad right now. Interesting to see. Yeah, it's been great to rewatch it because I've never seen Better Call Saul, and I've never seen that movie that they made, El Camino. It was like a follow-up to Breaking Bad. So I was like, all right, let me watch all these and catch up on all the Breaking Bad shows and stuff outside of Breaking Bad itself. But yeah, I forgot that the guy who's like works for Sosa that they send to go kill the guy, you know, the whole bomb scene in the car. The one.
The uncle with the bell.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So
I forgot about that.
I literally just had watched like an episode of Breaking Bad with him in it, and then I saw the Scarface right after, and I was telling my fiance, I was like, oh shit, like this is the same actor that plays the old man. I was like, it's just crazy to see how much he's aged in the time. But yeah, I would definitely say that though. Bless you.
Okay, Heat. Yeah. Heat is another classic joint. Question by Terrence Ball. Do you guys think Tony would have survived if he wouldn't have killed Manolo when Sosa's hit squad? I think Tony would have still died because there's no way that the human body can consume that much cocaine and live. Right. I think even if he didn't get shot up, the cocaine would have killed him. You know, I mean, I'm not a cocaine expert. I never did cocaine, but I've known people that have done cocaine, and there's no way humanly possible. You have that big ass mountain, and you. No, I think he would have died.
Yeah, he definitely would have died when he did that. But he says specifically there, Terrence. He says when Sosa's hit squad came. So I guess the question is specifically is, do we think Tony would have survived if he had not killed Manny? And I'm guessing Manny had been there with him.
Maybe he would have been dead too.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I think they still would have gotten fucked up. I think that, but had they been there, maybe they would have survived a little longer. Maybe the sister could have helped. She probably wouldn't have been any help, obviously, because she was trash. But yeah, I think he still would have died. It was just kind of coming to him. You know, as Sosa said, you know, never fuck me, and he did fuck him. So
that scene was so iconic. I told you a long time ago, you fucking little monkey, not to fuck me. Hey, who the fuck you think you're talking to, huh? I said, "Oh, Tony." I'm like, when I first watched that, I said, "He's gonna die." I'm an 11-year-old kid watched this. I said, "He's gonna die. Sosa he's gonna kill him."
Right.
And those guys, they just came in like roaches, man, like nonstop New York cockroaches, just ugh. And little
There's some
trivia,
good deaths in that. There's some good deaths in that scene. Some funny deaths too, like just the way that some of the people are taken out.
Yeah, bro, I would watch that before a football game, man. Like when I play varsity football, like before I go to the game, I would always play the end of Scarface, and I would just get like, ugh. I take your fucking bullets. So I'll go on the football field, man. I don't feel the fucking hits until the next day. I was like fucking hamburger. But but leading up to the game, man, I used to get crunk on Scarface, man. That's just one of those movies where it just like pumps you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's got that kind of energy. Like that's all I think really thanks to Al Pacino specifically. I think that he just has like an energy of like he has such an energy of he really does not give a fuck about what anybody or anything has to say. That it almost makes you feel like that way while you're watching it. Like, you're almost, like I told you earlier, like you're almost waiting for somebody to say even something halfway sideways to Tony just so he can pop off on them. Even
Sosa, like, and mind you, Sosa is the man over everybody. And remember when Sosa tried him, and because I remember Omar, I guess Omar was an informant. And that's when he hung from the helicopter. Sosa was like, "Well, how do we know you're not a Chifato too, Tony?" And Tony straight him like, "Look here, man. I ain't never fuck off anybody in my life. Never had it coming through him, okay? All I have in this world is my word and my balls. I don't break it for nobody. Understand?" Tony ain't play that shit, man. So like he checked anybody.
Right. And I love that in that same thing. On top of saying everything else that you just said. Yeah. He also says, "I never liked that guy anyway."
Yeah, never liked
while he's hanging there.
Which is true. Yeah, he could have stand Omar. Yeah, Omar was a piece of shit. I ain't like him either, man.
That death is kind of hilarious to me. Like just like the way the special effect more than anything, because you can tell he's on a harness when he falls off. So he's like all like overly dangly, like it's over the top, but it's so funny.
Yeah, it's the 80s, man. Even the chainsaw scene when he killed Hector, when he flipped out, when he fell from the second story, landed on his back. Yeah. So okay, so let me ask you your favorite favorite scene and least favorite scene.
I'm gonna say that my favorite scene, man, it's tough because do you want to go with the iconic ones or do you want to go with like I guess the best character moment? I think the best moment for me in the film that really informs where this character is going, and because this is a movie ultimately about the downfall almost that you get from like ego, a power trip kind of thing. That's really what this movie is about. And so I think it was that scene we mentioned earlier, the restaurant scene. He was, he's drunk, he's high, he's fucked up, and Al Pacino gives just such a real, intangible performance. Everybody around him looks uncomfortable. He is giving a performance that feels real. You can look past the accent and everything like that. And he's just, I don't know, he's just so good in that scene. So I'd say that's probably my favorite scene. In terms of actually like a least favorite scene, I don't know that I have necessarily a least favorite scene because the film is overall pretty entertaining throughout. But there's just stuff like I said, like I just feel like Michelle Pfeiffer's role in the film is so pointless that like I feel like whenever there's too much time spent on their romance, even though it's part of the movie, since it kind of winds up and like kind of leading up to nothing eventually, I feel like a lot of the scenes with Michelle Pfeiffer's character for me could have been cut, in my opinion. But then you need them because they push the story forward in some degree. But I don't know. I don't know if I have a specific like, oh, that's like my least favorite scene. You know what I mean? Just little moments here and there that I would have trimmed out. But yeah, I would say my favorite one is definitely that restaurant scene.
Yeah, I mean, if I could have a least favorite scene, it's probably the scene where Tony and Elvira were by the pool, and he was telling her like, he was telling her like that he wants to be with her, and Frank is, I'm about to take him out, and I'm trying to have you or whatever.
About right now, when I was saying that about them, like, that was the thing I was thinking about.
Yeah, even though not a terrible scene, but just the flow of Scarface, because I mean, to me, like I like Michelle Pfeiffer as an actor, but like you said, her character was so bland. You know what I'm saying? Like there was like nothing to her. So, I mean, there was never a point in the movie where you felt like, okay, did she even love Tony?
Right.
But then again, she was just that chick though that she just went wherever the money was. So
Right.
if Frank was the guy, that's where she was. If Tony was the guy, that's where she was. I'm pretty sure if Manny was the guy, that's where she would be. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
still a boring fucking character. So when it was just them two, and he's professing his love for her, I'm like, bro, don't you see this? This bitch don't want you, man.
Right.
She
Because then
wants
there's
your
even
cheese.
There's exactly. And there's also that scene it's iconic, but it's like again, it's like it's part of it where it works is everything that has to do with Tony because it really informs who his character is. It's the scene where he's in the bathtub, you know, watching TV, and you know he's talking to her and he's talking to Manny at the same time. That's a great scene because there's a lot going on that, you know, him and Manny are trying to talk about, and like the deal and stuff like that ends up going wrong later on, and all this kind of stuff. But that whole element with her specifically, like her being in the room and talking to him, and him just being like, you know, oh, you're just a lazy piece of shit. You know, I didn't think when I got married to you that my wife would just be like lying around all day. That part of the scene for me it just kind of leans into some of my least favorite parts of the movie, where it's just like I like everything happening with him and Manny, and even though her being there does inform a lot about, you know, like you start to see that spiral in him a lot more by the end of that scene. You know, when everybody leaves the room, the camera pans up a little bit higher above. He's just talking to himself. You know, like, I built this. I got this. I made this happen.
Yeah,
you know, like it informs so much about who he is and where he's headed, and I love that about that scene. But yeah, the Michelle Pfeiffer part of it, there's just something about it that's just so like to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was just no character to her. I mean, at least with the sister, she would show emotion where, you know, like, okay, you know, she loves Tony, but then as Tony starts to get on her nerves, it's like, okay, I really can't fuck with you right now, you know, like, because at first it's all, you know, oh, my brother, I love my brother. Then it's like, you know, I'm not a little girl no more, Tony, you can't control my life. And then it goes from that to, I want to kill you, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It just the whole last 10 or 15 minutes is very all over the place. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the emotions jump from one place to the next.
Yeah, that was a classic line. Yeah, you can just go like that eating. Yeah. See, this is Carlos Jimenez. I just watched Scarface today too. All right, man. Right on. Okay, who's this? Terrence. Another favorite scene is seeing the clown get shot. Call me sadistic. I thought, oh, it's at the club. Yeah, where they had that guy dressed as a I guess caricature of a Cuban.
Right.
At the what you call it club. Yeah, kind of had that one coming.
Right.
Yeah. That's almost like putting somebody in blackface.
See, that's another scene though. Terrence said it was one of his favorite scenes, but
yeah,
I think that scene kind of just feels like why is it there too? Like, I mean, it's tough, right? Because every scene I feel in this movie serves a purpose towards the building of the character of Tony. But if you happen to not like the other characters or what's happening around him, then it's like you can't remove it because it's important. But at the same time, there's a part of it that feels not important. Does that make sense? And I kind of feel that way about that scene because he's really just sitting there, but it's like watching him. You know what I mean? Like the way he's looking around the room while that's happening, you can just see there's so much that's happening for the character, so much you can see behind his eyes and just him sitting there while that's all happening.
Right.
And obviously then shit, you know, hits the fan and things get crazy. But, you know, I feel like they spend a lot of time on that. Not that long, but probably a good couple minutes on it where it's just like, let's just get to the action. But again, it's kind of like a...
Yeah. Well, shit, come and think about it, there was never a scene where Pacino wasn't in there, right? I think Pacino was in every single fucking scene in this movie. Right?
Yeah, very, very few. If he's in any without any, like, it's probably like a brief scene between like Frank and like, you know, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, Frank and the cop, right? Oh, okay. I thought he was gonna say Frank and the cop, the crooked cop.
Like, I think there's a couple of like moments, like, you know, there's things like Manny in the car with when he gives was it Gina?
Oh, Gina, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
He gives her like a ride, you know, like that's the first time that it's kind of implied that, you know, that's where that's gonna head, and so there's a few moments, but they're few and far between. So I think that's part of the positives of this movie is that overall, I think I was gonna say Tony Montana, but Al Pacino really sells this movie. You know what I mean? Like he carries the weight of this movie on his shoulders with his performance and the writing as well, specifically around Scarface. That like I think another thing too is like the writing is so perfect. I don't know how much of this was improvised by Al Pacino,
Yeah.
but the writing was so perfect in the sense that like everything that happens feels in character for Scarface, for Tony Montana. Like, you know what I mean? Everything that happens to him, like you don't ever feel like, oh, that's out of character for him, or you feel like he would have reacted there. Or, oh, I feel like he underreacted there. Or I feel like he overreacted there. It's like no, like when he reacts a certain way, like based on the way that the movie's been set up, like everything feels like it's within character. So I think that again, it's just a testament to the writing and a testament to Al Pacino specifically for really understanding who the character is, you know?
Okay, now going back to when you first watched it, okay, because like you said, we both agree Tony Montana is a despicable person. Though he does have morals, he has code, but he's a bad person. When you first watched it, did you root for him to make it in the end? So like when the climax happens, he gets his back blown out. Was you sitting like, damn, I wanted him to make it out of this movie, or was you like, you know what, he had that shit coming to him?
I think it's got to be the latter. It's got to be that he had that shit coming to him because while I'm watching the movie, he's just such a bad person, and it's just interesting to see where it goes, right? And I think at this point, though, I should say, by the time I saw it, though, in my early teens, you know, mind you, I was born in '93, so by the time I saw the movie, you know, like whatever, 10, 11, 12 years later, I already knew that he died at the end. Like that was just one of those things that I kind of knew from just like pop culture. So I didn't have that ability to watch the movie like going in completely fresh, you know. Like sometimes I wish with certain films from the 80s that I had that, or that I remembered what I thought at the time, you know what I mean? Because that's another big thing too, is like my parents raised me on a lot of films from the 80s, but a lot of the films that I grew up loving, I don't even remember the first time I saw them, you know what I mean? So with Scarface, I remember it, but I just remember that I already knew a lot about it. You know what I mean? I already know about the, you know, say hello to my little friend. Like, and I knew a lot of the imagery, and I knew the accent, and I knew, you know, that he dies at the end. There's certain things like that. You know, I knew the like dunking his face in a mountain of cocaine thing. Like very small little moments, you know what I mean? But I knew about them.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was ever a moment for myself where I felt like, oh, I hope this guy makes it through it. And even now, there's never a moment where I'm watching it where I'm like, oh man, I wish his character survived like that final moment. It feels very deserved because I feel like ultimately that's what this movie's about, right? It's about the internal self-destruction of somebody who ultimately, like, you know, he fucked himself in the end. You know what I mean? Just by being too reactive, being too reactionary, being somebody who's just too on edge about absolutely everything. You know what I mean? It leads him to killing his best friend and regretting it, and gets his sister killed, gets him killed, gets everything that he worked hard for gets taken away because of his ego, his power trip. And so, yeah, it's like it's a tough situation, but I think he deserved to die.
Yeah, but well, you know what? First time watching, like, see, I had a different experience because, like I said, this was like a forbidden fruit, so I couldn't watch this movie for years. So only thing I knew about it was to say hello to my little friend because that's been like parodied so many times, right? So coming into this, I was pretty much blind. I didn't really know anything. And so as I'm on this journey watching this, by the time it gets to the end and he gets killed and the credits start rolling, I'm just sitting there looking like, holy shit, that was a fucking movie. Like just a whole bunch of emotions, but a big part of me wanted him to make it. But then after multiple viewings, like you said, I'm like, all right, yeah, he had this shit coming, man. You know, this guy, but isn't it ironic that how bad of a person he was? That's what got him killed, but then the little bit of good that he did have also got him killed. Because think about it, man. If he would have just went full fucking Sith Lord and said, okay, fuck this woman and her kids, blow the car up, you know what I'm saying? And he went through with the job, so someone that came after him. He would have kept, they would have kept doing their dealings, everything would have been all peachy. But because he had some humanity to him, what you think I am? You think I kill a woman and her 2 kids? Fuck that. I don't need that shit in my life. Damn. You know what I'm saying? So the good in him got him killed, and the bad in him got it like, you know, yeah, he just, R.I.P. Tony, man. Look, if I had some liquor, I'll pour it out, man. Speaking of liquor, I ain't see you drink none of that shit in your cup, man. What's up?
No, it's gone, bro. It's gone.
Oh, damn it. You snuck that shit without you snuck that shit without me seeing it, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wait.
snuck it in on the early part of the conversation.
Oh, shit. I gotta read this shit. Oh, Carlito's Way. Ooh, why you doing that, man? Would you guys agree Carlito's Way was a better movie?
I've actually never seen that one.
It's on the queue. Trust me, it's on the queue.
All
Yeah.
right, cool.
Yeah, that's coming down the line. Yeah, I didn't want to give you Carlito's Way right after Scarface because it's same director and everything. You know, I want you to kind of get out of Scarface mode by the time we get to Carlito's Way.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're doing Casino next, right?
Yes, we are. But
Nice.
to respond to Terrence, I'm not going to give no spoilers away. But Carlito's Way was a bomb ass movie. I love Carlito's Way. A little mainstream on the mainstream side. You know what I'm saying? Not as gritty and dirty as Scarface. It's a little more. Well, how can I put it, Perez? Like, it's a little more bright. It's a little more vibrant. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. If that makes sense. It's okay. You seen Dick Tracy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like not like Dick Tracy, but like bright and vibrant.
You mean
colorful.
Visually or like
visually? Yeah, visually.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. But now Carlito's Way was my shit though. That's when I first saw John Leguizamo.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I gotta check that one out then.
Yeah, definitely. That's on the queue. And there's actually a game where he does survive, and his main goal is to kill Sosa and kill his assets. I never played the game.
I owned the game because somebody gave it to me. But it was like right at the very. They gave me the Xbox copy, and it was like the original Xbox, like the original first Xbox. And at that point, I had moved on to the Xbox 360, and I just never went back and played it.
Okay, gotcha. So I got actually one last thing, man. Okay, when you watch that shootout, did that shit not give you a fucking charge? Like, did you not just get pumped up when you watch that shit?
For sure. You're talking about the end bit, right?
The end bit, yeah.
The end of the movie is super, super exciting. It's like like I was saying earlier, like some of the kills are just so like there's moments where it's like, oh damn, like that guy just got fucked. There's a couple times where some of the kills are kind of funny too, like the way that they fall over or whatever. That's something I just like about the 80s in general. There was something about the way that people fell over or even just older movies. Like you don't really nowadays, when people fall over in movies or they get hit over, they usually look cool even falling.
Right.
Like I love that about like movies like Scarface, or even like I just recently was rewatching all the Scream movies, like the way that Ghostface be falling over a chair sometimes. You don't see shit like that in movies anymore. Like everybody falls too cool now. But anyway, I got off track. But yeah, that final part of the movie, like the shootout is great, man. It keeps you tense, it keeps you engaged. It's fun to watch. It's a mix of like tragic, but also kind of like fun and funny. And again, that's a testament to Al Pacino, man. Like, right up to the, say hello to my little friend moment.
Because for a split moment, you thought he was going to make it because this dude was taking full out blast. You see the blood and shit coming out of him. Come on. I take your fucking bullets. I still standing, huh? I'm like, this motherfucker might just make it. But then your boy from behind with the glasses, I said, oh, shit. I'm watching like this, like, and then when that final blast came, I said, yeah, he's done. There's no coming back from that, man. This dude got his back blown out by a shotgun. But man, if that's how you gotta go out in the gangster movie, that's how you gotta go out, man. You know what I'm saying?
Look at Q coming in here.
Shit.
What the
Q? God damn, boy. Man, thank you.
What's up, Q?
Shit.
I saw that pop up. I'm like, oh fuck.
Damn, I appreciate you, fam. Damn, boy, let me give you a pound. All right, the part where Tony grabbed his gun and blasted the door, we knew he was in some serious action. Yeah. What's this? Rashad, what's the next? No, Master P. What's the next Master P movie are you reviewing? You know what? Perez has been a while. I think I'm gonna check out another Master P movie and review it. Fuck it.
I was gonna say, didn't you do a Master P movie and like you took a big shit on it like a couple years ago, and then everybody like you got a mix of shit in the comments.
Man, Perez, they came after me with razor blades and lemon juice. Okay, they came after me, bro. Like, man, you a crab in a barrel. You a sellout. You a Uncle Tom ass coon. How can you sit there and talk about Master P? I'm like,
Uncle Tom.
yeah, like, have you not seen my Officer Jackson videos?
I had
Well,
somebody commented on your to me in one of your videos recently. I don't know if you saw it. I think it was your Officer Tatum video.
mhm.
Where he's like, Officer Tatum got me fucked up or something like that. I can't remember what it was you said. And
Yeah.
the guy just like, I had commented on your video saying like, love the video, like facts. You're speaking facts or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, he's really not. He obviously can't think critically. I'm just like, bro.
Yeah,
Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you got those out there like, yes, Tatum is actually a thinker. He thinks for himself, unlike you, Rashad. You're very feeble-minded. Yeah, thick my bick. How about that? All right. They got mad because you told the truth. And yeah. I mean, but to each his own. If you like the movie, you like the movie. But Perez, at least we can both agree that Scarface is probably one of the most gangster films, best gangster films of all time. Like, just that ending by itself. If you got to go out, that's how you go out in a hail of bullets. And he took a lot of bodies with him, man. That's how you go out in a gangster movie. To this day, I don't think no other gangster movie ended like that, man. Where they just take a whole bunch of motherfuckers with them.
For sure. Like that whole end is fantastic, and it's like you said when I told you I was finally watching it, you were like certified hood classic.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those movies that's like beloved by film fans of old and new. It's a film that's beloved by Cubans and people from Miami, and it's like genuinely like it is like a movie that you hear frequently, like that is beloved by the Black community too. Like it's just like
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yes, we claim him. We claim Scarface. Okay, we claim Tony Montana. He's one of us.
right, exactly. So yeah, man, having grown up in Miami and just being able to rewatch this movie and being part Cuban too, it's just like it's a fun movie to watch. And and it's I think pretty much most things about it really work.
Okay, I gotta do Paid in Full. I think I might add that down the line. Paid in Full is another certified hood classic.
We've covered a lot, man. If we did all those movies we've covered so far, between all the blaxploitation films you've had me watch, and fucking some of the, I'm trying to, what's the one I remember the least for some reason, bro? You've made me watch a lot of movies, but it was a comedy. I think it was Bustin' Loose.
Oh my god.
That's the one I remember it. I remember a lot about it. What's the only scene I remember about that movie that really sticks to mind though? I remember the premise of the movie. I remember like the whole bus with the kids and everything.
Yeah.
But the one scene I think about the most that stuck with me was the KKK scene. Like that's like the funniest scene in the movie for me. Like where he's just like strolling up and they just show up out of nowhere, out of the woods. But yeah, man, like we've covered a lot of movies. I think one of my favorites that you had me cover with you was Menace to Society for sure, which I ended up covering on my channel too. That was a great one.
I think likewise, I think the best movie that you had me do was Sicario. Sicario was my shit. I love Sicario, man.
It's a really good one, man. It sucks that the sequel was not that great.
It had its moments
in comparison, you know what I mean? But
in comparison,
the first one was directed by Denis Villeneuve, I believe, who did did Dune, you know what I mean? And he's just like a really great director. So
definitely. I'm gonna read this one here too. Now, okay, I guess it's unanimous. Tony wanted to fuck his own sister.
I'm telling you, he wanted to fuck his sister. There's no getting around it, bro.
Yeah, because so far I've only had a handful of people say, nah, that's not the case, but majority say, Tony wanted his own sister. Man, why, Tony? Why? Like, I mean, especially, because knowing that you both came from the same anatomy, especially if your sister looks like you, that's crazy, man. How you gonna fuck someone that looks just like you?
Some people are fucked up, man. Like, again, for me, what's even weirder is how often the idea of fucking your sibling or fucking your cousin is brought up in movies. Like the fact that that's brought up in movies as often as it is means that it's in people's minds more often than I thought it was. You know what I mean? Never once has that been ever something that's crossed my mind as a normal thing one time. So it's like these movies that be fucking just throwing it in there, like, yeah, well, fuck my cousin. It's like, the fuck are you talking about? You want to fuck your cousin? Like,
yeah. Well, in Godfather 3, they actually did it. You know,
and, yeah, I know.
my Michael's daughter and Santino's son, they actually, well, Michael had to shut that shit down. Like, no, you can't see my daughter. No. Godfather 3, yeah, yep.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
man. Let's see. Tony just being a big brother. You know how they are. Don't want no one but the best for it. Yeah, listen, I'm trying to see it that way. But the more people I talk to about it, I'm slowly starting to be like, maybe he did. You know?
Yeah, I definitely think he wanted to. Again, like the fact that it even the fact that she even starts to like be like getting ready to undress herself, like, take me, Tony. Like, that's just fucking weird. Like, if my sister, I mean, God forbid, but if my sister ever killed my fiance, it's just never going to be something that I'd be like,
right.
Let me do this. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems strange. It just seems strange that would even like there must have been some kind of mentality that was something he wanted for her to even offer that. You know what I mean? Like, for it to even come up.
Well, I guess in all fairness, because at the time she was high, and it's like, damn, every guy. Remember, she said, you know, you can't stand for another man to be touching me. So it's like every guy that I get with, you freak the fuck out. So what is it like? Do you want me, motherfucker? Like, why is it you trip whenever a guy is with me?
Right.
So and of course, Tony's reaction, he just kind of sat there like.
I was like, he never really denies it. He never really denies it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think there's a part of him in that scene that if they didn't bust in with the guns, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if they didn't bust in with the guns, there's that weird part that like he would just like. There's this weird feeling that, I mean, obviously she was going to try to kill him, but like,
right.
There's this weird kind of feeling that he would have been like, all right, you know what I mean? Let me shove my face in this fucking mountain of cocaine again and just let's go. Like,
well, even after she died, like, you could take that either way, because when she died, he was still like kissing on her and hugging her and like, let me get a smile. Give me a smile. I'm like,
right. It's just something really fucking weird about that brother-sister dynamic, for sure, no doubt.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, man. That's all I can say, man. Cocaine.
Yeah.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. But Perez, I ain't gonna take much more of your time, fam. I appreciate you coming on. And grading it, I give Scarface A3. I give it an A+, A++++++. One of the illest. Yo, if I could do my top movies of all time, Scarface easily is like top 5 for me ever.
Wow.
Of all time.
Damn.
Easily. Yeah.
So I don't know. You know me. I don't really do ratings on my channel. I go based on a recommendation or not recommendation level. And I think without a doubt, Scarface is a classic. I think even if you don't like these kind of movies, if you struggle with a film where the main protagonist is somebody who's a fucking piece of shit, then maybe you won't like this. But overall, I think this is a pivotal film. If you are a new movie fan, if you were been a movie fan, you've never seen Scarface, this is something that just has to be watched and be discussed as a movie fan. I think it's a pivotal watch for anybody who enjoys cinema to any degree. And just on my own personal level, I definitely recommend it. Like, I think it's just a really entertaining movie, you know? So, it's for whatever flaws it has, I think ultimately it is a classic that deserves the title of being a classic.
All right. Well, I have to ask one more question. I promise you I'm done. And this might open up a whole other can of worms. Fuck it. I just thought about this. Okay, because I had you watch this movie too. Who was the more vile, just despicable human being? Tony Montana or Nino Brown?
Nino Brown from
New Jack City.
Okay.
Wesley Snipes, New Jack City. Who was the worst person? Compared to the other one, who's like an angel? Like, okay, compared to this guy's a fucking angel.
Just to make sure, because I only saw that movie that one time. Is that what's his name?
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes character. Okay, yeah. So I gotta say it's Tony Montana. I think Tony is just more reactive, whereas Nino was just like he was definitely a power trip kind of character too. He was fucked up just as bad. Like, I couldn't even imagine the two of them being in the same room. But there's something about Tony that I think that he's more fucked up overall. Like he's a little bit. I see that Doogie 54 says Tony wouldn't kill kids. Nino used a little girl as a shield. You're
Took
not
the
wrong.
words out my mouth. I was just gonna
that's a
say
good
that, bro.
point.
You took the words out my mouth. I said, well, he did use a little girl as a shield, or as Ice-T said, yo, he used a little girl as a bulletproof vest. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I forgot about
Um,
that. You're right. So maybe Nino, but I don't know. Like, yeah, maybe Nino was more fucked up in like the sense of like just being selfish.
Yeah, he was a
And
slime ball. Yeah,
right. And Tony's the same way, but Tony is almost more scary, I feel, in some ways. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I would say I would be more afraid of Tony Montana because of what he's
Right.
capable of doing.
Exactly.
Like scary. But as far as just being a bad human being, like
Yeah, maybe
at
Nino.
least Tony did love his wife until she became a junkie. Nino treated his woman like a piece of shit.
Right.
And purposely wanted to fuck his homeboy's girl. You know what I'm saying? Flirting with the girl in front of him and in front of her. So yeah, I say Nino's the bigger piece of shit, but Tony was the more savage. That's how I would say.
I agree. I think Tony's definitely just like, I think for me, he's such an unpredictable character that I would be like, for me, it's like I would be horrified to be in the same room with either one of them, but I'd be more horrified to be in the same room with Tony Montana.
Yeah. Especially when he gives you that wild, like crazy, like, the fuck you looking at, man? Huh? Do you want something? Do you want something, man? Like, no, exactly. Tony, I'm sorry.
Exactly, dude. Like it would, you couldn't even stare at the dude for too long. You know what I mean?
Right.
Without feeling like he was gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, look, that's a New York thing too, man. Growing up in Long Island, New York, there's a 2-second rule where if you look at somebody for more than a couple of seconds, it's a fight. Like it was a culture. Like when I first moved down here, bro, it was a culture shock because see, in Florida, people make eye contact with each other. So you can stare at somebody here and be like, hey, how you doing? But up in New York, if you like 1,000, 2,000, the fuck you looking at? No, my bad, yo, my bad. Nah, man, come, let's rob this motherfucker. Damn. I got robbed a couple of times because of that. Yeah, because I thought that I recognized somebody that I knew and I looked a little too long and yeah, they robbed me for $3. True story.
Fuck.
Had $3 on that. That was my lunch money. They robbed me. Yeah.
Well.
Oh man. All right. Well, Perez, I'm gonna let you go ahead on, man, and I'm gonna definitely leave your link, your channel link in the description for your reviews, man. So yeah, check him out, man. If you haven't yet, man, check out Anthony A. Perez. Very insightful, man. When it comes to this movie review shit, Perez, your shit on point, bro.
Thanks,
you know what I'm saying? Just the
it.
way you articulate your shit, and the way you break movies down and dissect them like a frog. Man, I'm like, yo, that's a talent you got right there, bro.
Thanks, bro. I really appreciate it, man. I've been trying to get better at it. I try to keep watching my my inspirations for the way that they break shit down and try to follow it suit, bro. But man, on the flip side, for your channel, man, you have a great way of breaking shit down too. And then you got the humor, bro. There's a natural humor on camera with you that's just so real. And then you have your Officer Jackson videos, and like there's just so much about the comedy side of things that I wish that I could tap into naturally without it feeling like I'm trying to make a joke on camera that you do, man. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on, man. It was a lot of fun to talk about Scarface. I'm excited to talk about Casino next. For anybody who doesn't follow me over on my channel, Rashad does appear over on my channel as well. And we talk about a lot of movies. Last time we talked about the Lego Ninjago movie. And moving forward, I'm about to have Rashad join me for the entirety of the Harry Potter series.
That's right.
Yeah, that's kind of the black and white of us. What we do is that, a lot of times, Rashad wants to show me like cinematic, like masterpieces from the past, or different classics of the past, or blaxploitation films, or hood classics, and I'm showing him like Disney films or like random superhero movies he's never seen before. Sometimes it's something that's popular, but a lot of times I almost purposefully grab random things. And I felt like Harry Potter was the perfect thing for Rashad because I know he's never seen them before, so he's going to go in with a fresh mentality. And I know that just because of the nature of what you watch versus what Harry Potter is, I knew that it'd just be, just night and day compared to what you usually watch. So I'm really excited to do those with you, and excited to do Casino, and just excited to continue on with our Tick for Tack series.
No doubt. I'm actually looking forward to Harry Potter, man. And I have a feeling I'm gonna like it.
I think you're going to too, man. They're such good fantasy films, like especially since you're a fan of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Like, I think sometimes there's a mentality that Harry Potter's, a little bit more for kids or for teeny bops. But what's great about that series is that the movies age with the characters, because you have one of the plus sides that Harry Potter has over Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and stuff like that is that, similar to Marvel, they were able to start at a certain point, they had an end point, and they kept the same cast from beginning to end. And so you get to see these characters be Harry Potter from the very, like, in the rest of the characters from the very super young age, and they're just aging with each movie. And as they get older and they become more serious actors, and they go from being the cute kids that with little powers to being older, the movies get darker and more serious. And by the time you get to the end, like the final movie, and you're at the final climax, like you find yourself so invested in who these characters are, and like you feel like you've grown up with these characters. And there's not a lot of series that get to do that, you know what I mean, where they have the same actors start at the age of like 8 or 9 years old and end it when they're in their like early 20s. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you really feel the growth of these actors and these kids. And yeah, it's like nothing else, man. So I'm excited to do that with you.
Yeah, I'm sold, man. You got me sold on it.
Hell yeah,
you got me sold, man. Okay, got a couple more comments here. Actually, I'm gonna start with Cool first. This is really good retro movie review, y'all. It was good listening to y'all. Well, thank you, my man, for tuning in. He was the first one that showed up tonight. Appreciate you, fam. All right, Casino had me laughing the whole film. Joe Pesci, yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to Casino, man. That's gonna be that's gonna be a special one. All right, y'all. So we about to head on out of here. Thank you all for tuning in, watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Anthony A. Perez. The link will be in the description. God damn it! And tune in also for Sunday. I'm going live again with Mike from Did You See That? We're gonna be talking Rambo 3.
Nice.
Got to get that one out the way, y'all. That's what I got to get out the way. So, thank you all for coming in. That's it, and that's all. And we are out.